Ladies and gentlemen, today we embark on a journey to explore one of the most profound and transformative forces in the human experience, love. But not just any kind of love. We're talking about true love. Love that goes beyond the surface, beyond the fleeting moments and the transactional mindsets that often hold us back from experiencing the depth of real, authentic connection. Too often, we find ourselves caught in a cycle of giving and expecting something in return. We bargain, we negotiate, and we plead, believing that love is something to be earned, something that requires constant proof of our worthiness. But that's not what love should be. True love, at its core, is a gift. It's a force that flows freely, without the need for constant validation, constant measurement, or constant bargaining. We live in a world that often tells us that we must constantly strive for approval, that we must chase after love as though it's a commodity to be bought and sold. We are conditioned to believe that our value is tied to what we give, what we offer, and what we are able to provide to others. But love in its truest form is not a transaction. It is not a scorecard to be kept. Love is a deep, sacred connection between two people that does not require you to prove yourself at every turn. It is not a currency to be exchanged, but a powerful force that enriches both individuals without the need for calculation. As we reflect on the nature of love, I want you to think about the times when you found yourself bargaining for affection, pleading for attention, or striving to prove your worth. How did it make you feel? Did it leave you feeling drained, depleted, and questioning your own value? I know many of you have been there, wondering if you're giving enough or if the love you're offering is ever truly reciprocated. But the truth is, when you approach love as a bargain, you strip away its beauty. You lose sight of what makes love so powerful, the vulnerability, the authenticity, and the mutual respect that exist when two people come together without expectations, just a shared desire to connect and care for one another. Today, I'm here to remind you that you are worthy of love simply because you exist. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to plead for it. You don't have to chase it. The love you deserve is already within you. It begins with you. When you learn to recognize your own worth, to love yourself unconditionally, you become magnetic. You attract the kind of love that is given freely, without strings attached. You stop chasing after love and start attracting it by simply being yourself, by showing up authentically, and by allowing the beauty of your own heart to shine. So I invite you to join me in this exploration of love. Love that is not a bargain, love that is not a plea, but love that is a beautiful, natural flow between two souls who recognize each other's value. Together, let's uncover how you can stop pleading for what you deserve, stop chasing after love, and begin to attract the kind of connection that honors and respects who you truly are. Are you ready to dive into this journey of self-discovery and authentic love? Let's begin. Love is not a bargain. Love is not a transaction. It's not about calculating what you give and what you get back in return. Far too often people approach relationships as if they're making a trade. I'll give you this and you give me that. This transactional mindset can be destructive because love should never be about keeping score. True love is a gift that is given freely without the expectation of receiving something in exchange. It's a flow of energy that builds, strengthens, and elevates both people involved, but not because one is doing something to earn the other's affection. When you begin to see love as a transaction, it shifts the focus from emotional connection to emotional currency. You start to believe that in order to receive love, you have to pay for it with your actions, sacrifices, or compromises. While it's true that relationships require effort, sacrifice, and mutual care, the key difference is that these things should come from a place of genuine desire to contribute to the relationship, not because you feel like it's required for the relationship to thrive. In healthy relationships, there's no need to bargain. Both parties give freely and wholeheartedly without the anxiety of wondering if they are getting their fair share in return. The idea of love as a transaction can lead to feelings of resentment and frustration. If you're constantly wondering whether you're doing enough or whether the other person is giving enough in return, it creates a dynamic of imbalance. This imbalance can cause you to feel drained, as though you're pouring from an empty cup only to receive just enough in return to keep you going. This is not love, it's emotional depletion. True love is a connection based on respect, trust, and a shared understanding of each other's needs and wants. You don't need to beg for it, nor should you feel like you're working for it. If you find yourself constantly giving and wondering when the other person will pay you back with the same amount of affection, it's time to reevaluate the dynamic. Love shouldn't feel like a competition to see who can give more. Instead, it should be a space where both individuals are supported, encouraged, and loved simply for who they are. Let go of the idea that love needs to be earned. Real love is about authenticity and vulnerability, not about keeping a scorecard. When love is genuine, it flows freely without strings attached, and it doesn't feel like you're constantly striving to meet an impossible standard to deserve someone's love. You should never feel like you have to negotiate your value in someone's eyes. Your love, your presence, and your worth are inherent. They are not something that can be traded, bargained for, or measured by the exchange rate of effort. Love, in its truest form, is not a deal to be struck. It's a beautiful experience that brings joy, growth, and connection when it's free of expectations. When you realize this, you begin to understand that love is a mutual gift that doesn't require begging or pleading. It just happens naturally when both hearts are open and willing. Stop pleading for what you deserve. When you find yourself pleading for love, attention, or affection from someone, you're sending a message to yourself and to them that you believe you're not worthy of those things unless you earn them. But here's the truth. You deserve love, respect, and kindness simply because you exist. You don't need to beg or plead for the things that should be freely given. The idea that you have to prove your worthiness to someone else, it's a misconception that traps you in cycles of self-doubt and emotional dependency. When you beg for someone's love or attention, you're relinquishing control over your own emotional well-being. You're saying that your happiness is entirely dependent on another person's actions, that you can't find fulfillment unless someone else validates your worth. This is dangerous because it creates a foundation built on insecurity. Your self-esteem becomes reliant on someone else's behavior, and when they don't meet your expectations, it crushes you. Stop pleading for what you deserve. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone to earn their affection. You are worthy of love and respect right now, as you are. Pleading for attention only weakens your own sense of self and opens the door to unhealthy dynamics. It positions you in a place where you are constantly trying to win the approval of others, rather than standing in your own power and knowing that you are already worthy. In relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or even familial, it's important to remember that no one has the power to dictate your worth. Your value is not defined by what others give or don't give to you. When you find yourself in a place where you feel like you're begging for validation, ask yourself why. Why do you feel the need to convince someone to love you or appreciate you? Is it because you don't fully believe in your own value? Is it because you fear rejection or abandonment? Understanding the root of this behavior is the first step toward breaking free from it. The truth is, when you stop begging, you create space for real, authentic connections to develop. Love in its purest form is not forced. It's not something you need to chase down or beg for. Love is a mutual feeling that comes from a place of mutual respect and understanding. When you stop pleading, you give others the opportunity to show you that they value you freely, without pressure or manipulation. And when someone does give you their love and attention freely, it's much more meaningful because it comes from a place of genuine care, not obligation. Remember, you are not a beggar when it comes to love. You are a person of immense worth who deserves to be treated with kindness, respect, and love, just as you give to others. Don't settle for anything less. By stop pleading, you free yourself from toxic relationships and begin to attract the kind of love that recognizes and honors your worth from the very beginning. You create space for relationships that aren't based on desperation, but on mutual respect and equality. So, stand tall. You don't need to ask for what you deserve, you already have it within you. And those who truly see you will never need to be begged to love you. Know your own value. One of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is to recognize your own value. When you know your worth, you stop seeking validation from others and stop waiting for them to affirm who you are. You become so grounded in your own self-esteem that no one's actions or words can dictate how you feel about yourself. You no longer allow someone else's treatment of you to define your worth. But here's the thing. Knowing your value doesn't come from a place of arrogance or entitlement. It comes from a deep understanding of who you are at your core, a realization that you are deserving of the best life has to offer. Simply because you exist, you are not defined by your past mistakes, your flaws, or the times you've been hurt. Your value is intrinsic. It's something that no one can take away from you. When you know your worth, you stop tolerating behaviors that undermine your self-respect. You stop accepting less than you deserve because you understand that your love, your time, and your energy are precious. You realize that giving your love to someone who doesn't appreciate it is not a reflection of your generosity, it's a reflection of their inability to recognize what they have in you. And that, my friend, is not your problem to fix. The key to knowing your value is self-awareness. It's understanding that you have unique qualities, talents, and gifts that make you who you are. Take time to reflect on your achievements, the challenges you've overcome, and the strength it has taken to get to where you are today. Recognize the inner resilience that has carried you through dark times. Remind yourself of the beautiful qualities that you bring to the world, the kindness, the compassion, the drive, and the love that you give to others. Knowing your value also involves setting boundaries. When you understand your worth, you begin to set clear limits on how others treat you. You refuse to tolerate disrespect, dishonesty, or anything that diminishes your sense of self. You no longer accept half-hearted love or shallow connections because you know you are deserving of something deeper, something more genuine. You start demanding relationships that align with your standards, relationships where love is given freely, where mutual respect is the foundation, and where both people show up fully as they are, not as someone they are trying to become in order to fit someone else's expectations. People who know their value don't settle for less than they deserve. They don't stay in relationships that drain them or make them feel small. They recognize that their happiness is not tied to another person's approval or attention. They are the architects of their own joy, and they understand that their worth is not dependent on the love or affection they receive from anyone else. In fact, when you know your worth, you start attracting the right people into your life. You begin to draw in those who value you for who you are, not for what you can give them. You stop chasing after the wrong kinds of relationships, and instead you become magnetic to those who align with your energy, your values, and your goals. So, ask yourself today, do you truly know your value? Do you recognize how precious, how worthy, and how loved you are just for being yourself? Start affirming your value, both to yourself and to the world around you. And never, ever forget that you are deserving of love, respect, and everything good that life has to offer. When you know your own value, you'll never need to plead for what you deserve. It will come to you naturally because you will attract it with your confidence, your strength, and your unwavering belief in your own worth. Love yourself first. If you want to experience love in its truest form, you must first learn to love yourself. It might sound cliche, but it is the fundamental truth behind every healthy and fulfilling relationship, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or even family. The love you seek from others can never replace the love you should already be giving yourself. Self-love isn't about being narcissistic or self-absorbed. It's about nurturing yourself, valuing yourself, and recognizing your own worth, independent of external validation. It's about accepting who you are, the good, the bad, and everything in between, and being at peace with your own identity. You cannot expect someone else to fill the void within you if you haven't first learned to fill it yourself. When you love yourself fully, you stop seeking someone else to complete you because you already know that you are already whole. The reality is, when we don't love ourselves, we often find ourselves in relationships where we are constantly trying to prove our worth, constantly seeking affirmation from others, and constantly asking for validation. We may beg for attention, plead for affection, or exhaust ourselves in an attempt to feel love. But the truth is, when we don't love ourselves, these efforts will always fall short. No one can love you more than you love yourself, and no one can give you what you are unwilling to give yourself. So, how do you start loving yourself? It begins with self-compassion. Be gentle with yourself. Stop the harsh inner dialogue that criticizes every little flaw and mistake. You're human, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have imperfections. Embrace them as part of your unique beauty. Speak to yourself as you would speak to someone you love deeply. Be kind, patient, and understanding. Offer yourself the same forgiveness and grace that you would extend to a friend who has struggled or fallen short. Another important aspect of self-love is setting boundaries. When you love yourself, you protect your energy, you stop allowing others to take advantage of your kindness or drain your spirit. You don't let people walk all over you or treat you in ways that are disrespectful or hurtful. You know that you deserve better, and you take the necessary steps to ensure you are surrounded by people who uplift, inspire, and support you. Self-love also means taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically. It means making time for things that bring you joy, whether that's pursuing your passions, engaging in self-care routines, or simply resting when you need it. It means respecting your mind and body enough to nourish them with what they need to thrive. When you take care of yourself, you are sending a message to the world that you value your own well-being and that you won't settle for anything less than what is truly good for you. Finally, loving yourself means knowing your own worth and not settling for relationships that don't match the standard you set for yourself. You won't tolerate mistreatment or accept love that doesn't honor you. Instead, you will attract people who genuinely value and appreciate you because you set the example by loving yourself first. The love you give yourself becomes the foundation for all other relationships. When you have a deep, unwavering love for yourself, you stop pleading for others to love you because you already know that you are enough. Remember this: you are worthy of love. Not because of what you can give to others, but simply because you exist. So start with loving yourself. Fill your own cup first and watch how your relationships and your life begin to transform. When you truly love yourself, you will no longer have to plead for love from anyone else. It will flow to you effortlessly, naturally, and abundantly. Stop chasing and start attracting. One of the biggest mistakes we make in our search for love is chasing it. We believe that if we try hard enough, put in enough effort, or show enough affection, love will come to us. We become so focused on the chase that we lose sight of the truth that love cannot be forced. It cannot be captured or controlled. Instead, love is something we must attract, not chase. When you are constantly chasing love, you are often coming from a place of lack or desperation. You might feel as though love is something outside of you, something that you need to seek and obtain in order to feel whole. But the reality is, love doesn't exist in the chase. The more you chase love, the more elusive it becomes. You may find yourself settling for relationships that are unfulfilling or unbalanced because you are so desperate to catch love, even if it's not the right kind of love for you. What happens when you stop chasing and begin attracting love? Everything changes. When you focus on attracting love, you shift your energy. Instead of chasing after something that seems distant and unattainable, you begin to cultivate the qualities that make you magnetic. You learn to embody the love, peace, and joy you seek rather than searching for someone to bring it into your life. When you stop chasing, you begin to draw love towards you effortlessly. Attraction isn't about begging or pleading for someone's attention. It's about being the kind of person who naturally attracts the energy you desire. It's about becoming whole, complete, and content with who you are. When you are at peace with yourself, when you are confident in your own worth, others are drawn to you. You radiate positive energy, and that energy attracts people who are aligned with your vibration. This shift in perspective is powerful. Instead of looking for love outside of yourself, you begin to focus on becoming the best version of yourself. When you do this, you send out a message to the universe. I am worthy of love and I am whole without anyone else. I am ready to receive love that matches my energy and values. And when you send out this energy, love begins to flow to you. You begin to attract the kind of relationships that truly nurture and support you. Attracting love also requires letting go of desperation. Desperation pushes people away. When you're constantly chasing after someone, it can feel like a form of neediness, which can be off-putting to others. But when you're grounded in self-love and confidence, you become magnetic. You no longer have to chase because love will find you in the right time and in the right way. This is why it's so important to stop settling for relationships that don't honor your worth. When you stop chasing love, you stop settling for anything less than what you truly deserve. You realize that you don't need to beg for affection or convince someone to love you. The right person will see your value and love you for exactly who you are. Ultimately, love isn't something to be chased. It's something to be attracted. Through self-love, confidence, and authenticity, when you embrace who you are and stop seeking validation from others, you will naturally draw love into your life. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you begin to attract love effortlessly. Know your worth and never settle. The most powerful thing you can do for yourself when it comes to love is to know your worth. Too often we find ourselves in relationships that don't serve us, not because we don't deserve better, but because we forget how valuable we truly are. We settle for less than we deserve because we doubt our worthiness, and in doing so, we devalue ourselves. But here's the truth. You are worthy of love that uplifts, supports, and nurtures. When you truly understand your worth, you begin to make decisions from a place of strength, not desperation. You no longer tolerate behavior that disrespects or diminishes you. You stop seeking approval or validation from others, and instead, you recognize that your value comes from within. It's not based on someone else's love or attention. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone because you already know that you are enough exactly as you are. So why do so many of us settle for less than we deserve? It often comes from a place of fear. The fear of being alone, the fear of rejection, or the fear of not finding someone who truly values us. But when we allow fear to dictate our choices, we compromise on the very thing that we need most: respect, self-love, and mutual admiration in a relationship. Settling isn't love. It's a reflection of a lack of belief in your own worth. It's important to realize that when you know your worth, you don't have to settle. You recognize that you deserve someone who treats you with kindness, who values your opinions, who respects your boundaries, and who is willing to invest in you just as much as you invest in them. Anything less than that isn't worth your time. And when you begin to embrace this truth, your standards rise and you start attracting relationships that reflect your value. Knowing your worth also means that you are able to walk away from relationships that aren't right for you. It's easy to stay in a relationship out of fear or habit, but when you know you are worthy of more, you realize that settling isn't an option. You understand that you deserve someone who is aligned with your goals, your values, and your future. It's not about being perfect, but about finding someone who respects you for who you are and supports you in becoming the best version of yourself. Never settle for a relationship that makes you feel small or unimportant. Love shouldn't be a transaction where you give more than you receive or constantly try to prove your worth. It should be an equal partnership built on mutual respect and admiration. When you know your worth, you stop seeking validation in unhealthy ways. You realize that the most important love you'll ever find is the love you give to yourself. And remember, when you start recognizing your value, you become unstoppable. You won't waste time with people who don't see your greatness, and you won't let anyone convince you that you're not deserving of the best. You'll create space for real love to enter your life, love that is built on mutual respect, kindness, and deep appreciation. You realize that you are worth far more than what you have settled for in the past. So, as you continue on this journey, never forget that you are worthy of the best love, the best relationships, and the best experiences. Don't settle for anything less than that. And when you truly believe in your own worth, you will attract the kind of love that is meant for you, abundant, unconditional, and lasting. As we come to the end of today's journey, I want you to remember one powerful truth. You are deserving of love. Not because of what you do, not because of what you can offer, but simply because you exist. True love is not a commodity to be earned or bargained for. It is not a prize to be won. Instead, it's a force that flows freely when both people involved recognize their worth and offer love without expectation. Stop pleading for what you deserve. You do not need to prove your value to anyone. Your worth isn't conditional upon how much you give or how much you sacrifice. True love doesn't require you to bargain, and it doesn't demand constant validation. You are enough as you are. The love you deserve is already within you. The moment you truly recognize and embrace your own worth, you'll stop chasing love and start attracting it effortlessly. Let go of the notion that love is a transaction where you constantly give and wonder when you get something back in return. True love is about balance, respect, and connection without the expectation of a trade-off. When you begin to view love as a natural, beautiful exchange between two people who are both whole and secure in themselves, you will find that it comes easily and powerfully. There will be no need for pleading, no need for chasing, because it will already be there. The key to unlocking this kind of love is to first love yourself. When you develop self-compassion and recognize your own inherent value, you stop seeking validation from others. Instead, you create space for real, deep, meaningful connections. And you will attract relationships that reflect your self-worth, where love is given freely and shared openly. You will no longer feel the need to beg for affection or fight for someone's attention. Love will come to you as a natural flow, because when you know your worth, you won't settle for anything less than what you truly deserve. So stand tall, embrace your own beauty, and know that the love you seek is already within you. The love that will fulfill you, that will nurture your soul, and that will bring you joy is not something you need to beg for. It's something that will be given to you freely in its truest, most authentic form when you stop chasing it and start attracting it by simply being yourself. Today, I challenge you to release the need to bargain, plead, and chase after love. Instead, learn to love yourself, recognize your worth, and allow the love you deserve to flow into your life effortlessly. You are worthy of love just as you are, and when you truly believe that, the world will reflect that back to you. Remember this, love begins with you, and when you love yourself first, everything else will fall into place.